Jim Logan, and I serve as the clarinet professor here at Towson University, as well as assistant principal clarinetist of the United States Navy Band in Washington, D.C. And I'm going to touch on a number of aspects of playing from the first movement of Milhaud's quintet here that can be applied to many facets of your playing. To begin with is a problem I see frequently in a student or professional even making a clean attack, or in this case a clean entrance. For the clarinet, it's in measure 15, the upbeat of measure 15. There's an A written, an A concert, a B written above the staff. And in order to prepare for that entrance, you really need to get air, embouchure, tongue, everything lined up in place for about a beat before the actual entrance. So I'm all about playing percentages, and I think you have a much better chance at hitting that entrance 10 times out of 10 cleanly with preparing everything as much as possible, and then at the time that the flute plays the downbeat, which is also a concert A that you need to match, you simply will release the tongue off of the reed. The air should already be moving through the instrument. The embouchure is already formed on the mouthpiece, and so the only thing that happens to make that entrance is the tongue being released off of the reed. So I'm going to demonstrate both ways. The one way of just throwing everything together at the last second and praying for the best, that everything will happen wonderfully. So it would look like this. Okay, that entrance was okay, but it's there's a lot of danger there of the tongue hitting too hard, or it popping, or there being a chirp, or what have you. So what I would strongly suggest is that beginning as early as beat 2 of measure 14, embouchure, air, tongue is there, so that when the time comes, again, you're simply releasing the tip of the tongue off the tip of the reed, and you'll have the first note, which hopefully will go like this. So next, we're going to talk about rhythm a little bit. In the very next measure, measure 16, there's a dotted eighth, 32nd note rhythm there, and this is all about subdivision. Subdivision, always very important. And so I'm going to discuss the importance actually of playing that subdivision as 16th notes, for example, is a practice method. And then following it with what's actually written. So there's no guesswork involved. You're thinking 16th notes all the way through that. Okay? Next, syncopations. This is a royal type of majestic march. So we have some syncopations, for example, in measure 26 and 27. They happen in various places. So it would be out of character for this piece to play them long. We wouldn't want something with a little more separation and forward movement. And generally speaking, with syncopations, it's very easy for the time to pull back a little bit, which is all the more reason we want to have a little bit of space between the notes there. One other thing I would like to touch on is always being aware of where the solo line is, and who is playing that line, what range they're in, so that you're not just being soft, but you're under. Sometimes you can be too soft. It depends on how loud that line is particular line is written at the time. For example, in measure 38, the flute has the solo line there, and it's very important that you observe the piano at 38 and realize that those notes, when unsupported in the low register on clarinet, can be quite high. So remember to keep the pitch down, and again, stay below the flute. Back at measure 32, the clarinet line supports the horn. It was playing out a bit stronger. So you're still accompanying the solo, but you're a good bit louder, even though you're accompanying, than you would be at 38 because of how that line is written for the flute. At measure 47, we have some staccato 16th notes written low register. So one concern I would have with this is that we remember to exaggerate the staccatos. Again, this is a march, so we wouldn't want anything legato. Because of the range that it's written in, it would be very easy for the 16th staccato notes to come out too long, which would be... There's some separation there, so technically it's staccato, but given the register, you would really want to exaggerate that a bit and get more of... Finally, to conclude my segment, I'd like to talk about phrasing briefly. I mentioned the flute line at measure 38 that the solo, that the clarinet accompanies, and it's just important that you agree on where to breathe. You should be breathing, I would say, after the first 4 bars in measure 41, and then after the dotted quarter note of measure 44. You may choose to not do that, but it's important that you make that decision together so that one of you is not breathing while the other one is, so that it sounds like you're playing together as an ensemble, which is always very important. Thank you very much.